So what are supposed to be some of these top decks for the February metagame? Smash the living crap out of that Lunalight button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. You know, seeing Lunalight actually being the boogeyman in the room, I think is a hilarious scenario because you don't really have multiple towers monsters that you're able to make, the ability to throw Baguska on the field. I can understand why this deck is being looked at as one of the scariest contenders kind of going forward, because multiple floodgate prowess is kind of a stupid thing to deal with. But with that being said, though, people, the reality of the situation is you have side deck slots now. You don't have to play Lancia anymore. The minute that you remove Lancia from the equation, suddenly, you know, you're like, oh, hey, I can decide some kaijus. Oh, hey. You know, I mean, obviously, kaijuing over a Lunalight monster doesn't fix the Baguska problem sitting next to it, but this is usually going to turn into a multiple two-card plan here in order to kind of fix some of these problems. And I mean, that's going to be fine, right? You're looking at inboard presence and things, and if it's like double Liger Dancer plus Baguska, you're probably already, you know, defeated. There's not really much you're going to be able to do that. I'm sorry, but if, you know, you do happen to see all three of that, and you happen to have a sphere mode in your hand, I'm just saying that sphere mode actually breaks that whole field apart, and you are actually able to kind of make a setup, and you can actually play the game from there. So that's kind of a funny little interaction. It's like, well, this deck looks like a boogeyman. Whatever M board pieces that it itself is going to be putting up is able to be beaten by some hilarious little antics. Branded. So, Branded post-burst protocol is looking like an absolute snack of a deck. I will say pre, you know, in like the little limbo format where players are gonna try to play new format, and, you know, potentially not see an offshoot of things. I don't think Branded is like anywhere near a level of craziness, but the minute that you do get the new Albaz, you know, the Fallen of White, that's where things are going to start to get a little bit spicier. That's where, you know, you're going to get access to the Synchro monster. And if your opponent actually incorrectly hand traps you, like if you summon the Fallen in White and your opponent actually ashes you there, cutting you off of the Synchro, the problem becomes Branded Fusion is still alive at that point. So there is going to be some argument for that deck's initial, like, kind of get off of the ground scenario, that it's, if they incorrectly ash you and they allow you, like, the minute you make the Synchro, Branded Fusion's turned off. You know, also things like fusion deployment interactions are going to be a little bit off, but I will say, I don't know. We will see. I just think that Branded is going to be the second boogeyman deck in the room. Actually, I don't even think it's going to be the boogeyman. I think Branded is going to be pushing for one of the top spots for sure. And especially a good Branded player that can play through pretty much every scenario. Like, you'll have mediocre Branded players, and I'm sorry, guys. But you're just not going to cut it on the same level as somebody that's super zoomed in. They know all the combo lines, and they are able to whiz through every board scenario. It's going to be quite interesting to see who's going to succeed. Mitsurugi. So, we are at the end of, or supposedly, once again, I mean, this is early thoughts. We are supposedly at the end of Mitsurugi being splashed into everything at this point, you know. We are finally at that stage where it's like, oh, you know, I don't have to worry about, you know, yummy Mitsurugi 60 card pile, haha, malice 3000.exe. You know, we don't have to worry about that anymore. actually hitting Habagiri to 1 takes us back to the stage and actually lines up Mitsurugi into its own pure variant at this point. And I actually think that that's going to be quite exciting to see. Now, one Habagiri is going to make this deck feel a little bit slower than it actually is, but you can still pre-prep into Habagiri. You still triple prayers, triple pre-prep, and of course one Habagiri. You still actively have 7 copies of Habagiri access within your deck, and that's going to be super easy and super accessible for you to do. But you're no longer going to be able to splash this into any deck that you can, because the package has been greatly reduced in its form, and that's what we wanted to see. Going forward, is Mitsurugi going to be one of the strongest decks in the room? Most people are kind of predicting that it's going to be, and I don't really blame them for this. Mitsurugi in its current form is going to be a little bit slower, and I can't imagine it's not going to be a top 32 contender for sure. There might be something about splashing this into decks going forward. It will truly depend on the level of madman that is willing to cook up with the ideas. And honestly, that's probably where you're going to see some off-of-the-wall success with some crazy hybrid build that looks really, really, really weird. Vanquish Soul Canine. So, triple rosin, triple stake your soul. Things I didn't think I would see coming back in the form of the list. But don't worry, Holly Sue went to 1 and Joku went to 1. Does that actually fix the deck? Well, realistically, it does a lot more than you actually think it does. Slowing down Vanquish Soul was, I think, the primary objective. That's the thing, like, Vanquish Soul very much relies on its normal summon. That's where you're supposed to use the canine stuff to kind of supplement the packages and allow you to kind of bridge out down the different paths. Now, with Joe Cool going to 1, you can't reveal the Holy Sue in the hand and go to town. And that's actually kind of an interesting topic for discussion in and in itself right now, is, bringing those numbers down. I mean, you still have Azuna to play with as a 3 of, and if you don't think players are not going to actually play triple Azuna, you're crazy, man. I do think Vanquish Soul is going to be probably the second best performing deck, unless something really, really, really comes out of left field, because Vanquish Soul has some of the best adaptability that we have seen in the modern times. And you've got enough players out here that are trying out some of the innovation lines. I don't know, man. I think this is going to be just fine. Honestly, the hits to the canine package was the correct call. That's the sort of choices that you need this game to be making in order to actually slow down things. And honestly, I mean, Joku was a crazy card. Allowing that card to not be canine locked was insane. And then what people are predicting to be the best deck is actually Dracotail. This is the exact opposite of what the Dracotail community is talking about on Facebook. A lot of them are like, this deck is dead, give it up. And it's like, have you guys looked at like OCG tournament results? Like, your new fusion monster gives you recyclability. You are not that far off from actually being a semi-viable deck right now. It's just, people like to play decks where they can kind of turn their brain off and go unga bunga. And Dracotail pre this list was 100% that sort of deck, where you were able to go through all of this stupid combo, and your opponent was just like, well, this is so cool. Anyway, 3 traps on the back row, and Arthalion, yeah, this is totally the level of Yu-Gi-Oh! That I want to be dealing with. And obviously, I mean, times have changed. Not really. I do think, though, that especially if you slap the branded package into this deck, like you should be, Fallen of White is going to take this deck on a brand new evolution, and you are actually about to see probably one of the scarier variations kind of going forward. It honestly makes sense, guys. And if you don't really think that Dracotail is going to be that deck, I got bad news for you. You're gonna have a bad time. So don't listen to people that say Dracotail is dead. It is the furthest thing from it. Actually, I think the deck is really, really solid now. So please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. I'll see your beautiful faces back here in the day, guys. Peace.
Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.